Hello, good morning. Welcome to CSC with Michael. And in today's news commentary, we'll start with MSP, minimum support price. So MSP has been a major policy as far as food grain or agriculture products procurement by the Indian government and various other institutions. So MSP need to be studied. MSP is just not a procurement policy, but it has other implications over the total nature of Indian agriculture. So I suggest you study more on MSP. Let's say what is MSP, and you can say why MSP is why MSP. What's the rationale for MSP? Impact of MSP. Impact could be positive, impact could be negative, and in this negative it's more important to understand distortions by MSP. Way forward, what to do next, and you can link it with doubling farmers income, or just doubling farmers income is a phrase for agricultural reforms and agricultural welfare these days. So how MSP is critical to all these angles must be understood. Now violence in the sense we have to understand political violence. Political violence is not uncommon in India. It is seen across the country at different points of time. So again, you need to understand what is political violence, why political violence, different laws and constitutional angles in this regard, need for electoral reforms. Okay, so in the sense of elections in India, you can identify a couple of problems. One is violence, one is communalism, another is money, muscle, power. Okay, so there's paid news and a number of problems. Some of the most important problem is violence, communalism, and distortion caused by money and muscle power. So all these things are interrelated. So violence could be in the name of communal activities, and communal activities could be funded by money and muscle power. So all those are interrelated, goes in hand. So you need to understand those things and the need for electoral reforms and how we can get rid of these malices. Right now, falling short, the limelight is again being brought into the personal data bill. So you need to understand what is the bill is. See, the bill becomes more important when it is introduced in Parliament. Till then, we have time to look into all these things. Okay, so as far as we are concerned, we will now focus on personal data protection. All right. So just go through these editorial, get a hold of what the things are. You may not have to really go into the details of the bill, that we will do later. Once the bill is introduced and it passed, we will be expecting a question from it. But for now, this is personal data protection. So by reading these editorials and another article that is coming up, you will get a point of view into this issue, the issue of personal data and its protection and the role of government. Right. So let me clue you in. This talks about the JPC and the need for Joint Parliamentary Committee to come up with a data protection bill, and the Justice Sri Krishna Committee, which had given the recommendation. ഞാനിപ്പോൾ ഓർക്കുന്നുണ്ട് 2018 ഞാൻ ഫസ്റ്റ് മെയിൻസ് എഴുതുമ്പോൾ this question was there. This was a prominent current affairs then, and yet it is to become a bill after 3 or 4 years. Now, Justice Puttaswamy Union vs India. This is the most important privacy related judgment in India. So if you are coming up across any of question that is related with privacy, obviously you have to bring in this case. It adds weight to your arguments. Now this gives you an idea about what is envisaged by the committee, Justice Sri Krishna Committee, and what is being put forward today. And there is a lot of differences with respect to how privacy and how its management is looked at. again same similar thing. And here when you come to here, you can see a couple of points which are government best practices, right? And when you are writing an answer, these best practices will give you best practices will give the way for will make the way forward more meaningful and will give you extra marks. So whenever you have these kind of questions which have an issue and which does have an international model to follow or an example to look at, so you can obviously bring in that best practices across the globe and give that this could be something that you must be doing. Okay, and that's how you look at. So this is a perfect, in the sense, UPSC editorial which has introduction, body, then conclusion in the way we write these answers. Pause and noise not required. Reversing policies in haunted battleground, again not required. It's basically historical take of Afghanistan, nothing much in the present, so we can skip that. And this one article is specifically on Bihar and how Bihar can be Bihar can rise from its underdeveloped conditions. So specifically speaking about Bihar, this article is not so important, but it gives you a perspective into different things that a developed state or underdeveloped state in India will be facing, the issues that, say, so normally we say, like, if we see a state to be underdeveloped, we think that there could be political issues, the leadership is not good, people are that there may be not enough resources, but the issues goes beyond that. Several other things are there. So if you look at through the eyes of Bihar, you can see there was a very developed state before independence. Now obviously that political issue is there, not discounting that, but there are other issues too. Liberalization issue, landlocked geography, environment environmental issues. So go through that, it gives you an idea, right? So I've underlined very fewly. And it's rate of population growth is highest in the country. Okay, infrastructural issues. Okay, and what can be done, political reform. So very quickly, you don't have to make much of notes. This is like, you can approach this as a case study rather than a specific topic. Case study of a state which is not developed enough or underdeveloped, and what are the problems there is in that such of a state. Reforming the fertilizer sector. Now in this fertilizer is a subtopic under agriculture. It's an input for agriculture, and here you can identify the various issues and dimensions of fertilizer in agriculture sector in India. So go through that. NPK, we always say NPK is used disproportionately. Nitrogen is getting more space, and potassium, phosphorus and potassium are not used that much. This will leads to soil issues. So all those things you can see here, why potash and phosphorus fallen behind, why and nitrogenous, that is urea, has dominated the scene, that is beyond here. The government schemes that have been introduced for that, and the way forward. This is the most critical part. This is actually well written, well argued, so you can pick it from here. So fertilizer, especially if you are in geography option, this is very important. Agriculture option, obviously geography option is more common option, so will be important for you guys. Read that. And generally for agriculture, you have to understand like how these things work, how what are the issues of in agriculture. And one issue is if the fertilizer use, the disproportionate use, the regional imbalance between fertilizer use. In some states, there is like look at here, Telangana has 250 kilogram per hectare, whereas Rajasthan has just 70. So that thing also be understood. Dynamism India-US ties. This one is just about one aspect of India-US ties, whereby there is no formal interaction between members of parliament in India and members of the US Congress. It is based on that premise the entire article is argued. So yeah, it's just, and again, one dimension only. It's not a topic that you have to study. It's one dimension in the US ties, where you can improve the Indo-US ties. Okay, so Please again read that in a very short way. Just understand that one dimension. Pack to allow wheat transit to Afghanistan. And we had read that in the last couple of days, like, but despite the humanitarian crisis Afghanistan is facing, Pakistan is not allowing India to export products through the Wagah border. It is not allowing Indian vehicles to transit through Pakistan. So it has just addressed it. Like, you can just remember that. Now JPC, I wanted you guys to read what JPC is. So if you haven't done, again read what JPC is. You can look at the Personal Data Protection Act or bill and see what its basic details are. So we have discussed that topic enough. Then well, nothing much. That's all cool. So yeah, we are reaching the end of it. Party procurement problem. What is the procurement process? You can understand. Baki ella Telangana specialized ആണ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ particular ആണ്. So you can skip that. What the procurement process, how this MSP works, etc. will be understood through this article. This question, in fact, entire article is not required. Indoor is the cleanest 65 years in a row. So it's a example. It's a case study. Normally we see that much of the polluted cities are in the North India, and Indore is acting as an exception. So how Indore achieved that cleanliness and etc. you can read from it. How does the ranking work? Not much to read because we have already seen that in the last day's editorial. So how did Indore came out on top? No, case study and examples. In example is like just a couple of words, 5 or 6 words you can use. But as far as case study is concerned, you will use 1 or 2 lines to explain that achievement. That's it. അതിൽ കൂടുതൽ നിങ്ങൾ വലിച്ചു നീട്ടി ഒരു essay പോലെ case study എഴുതരുത്. That will not serve our purpose, right? Andhra Pradesh capital conundrums. This is a more parochial news, so I don't think you have to read that much. Just understand that Andhra Pradesh is going for multiple capitals, just like we see in South Africa. Okay, so that much is the work for today. Read it carefully, study. All the best. Have a good day.